So, you want to learn Spanish or you want to improve your Spanish? Fantastic. But where do you even start? Today, I'm going to give you 6 essential things that you need to learn to actually start speaking Spanish. And stick around to the end because I've got a free Spanish starter kit for you that will make this even easier. Let's get into it. But before we get started, if you're new around here, bienvenidos, yo soy Kelly and this is Adventures in Spanish. And I've been creating and delivering fun and engaging Spanish lessons for adults and children of all ages and abilities since I moved back to the UK after an epic 20-year adventure in South America. Okay, so first up, the Spanish alphabet. Now, you might be thinking, yeah, I already know my ABCs. Why do I need to learn them in Espanol? Well, Spanish pronunciation is way more consistent than English. And if you know the sounds and letters of the Spanish alphabet, you can read almost any word correctly, even if you've never seen it before. And that's a game changer. Plus, knowing the alphabet helps you spell things out when asking for directions, giving your name, or even ordering food in a restaurant. So practice it. A, B, C, D. Yeah, okay, you get it? Watch this for an insight into how learning the letters and sounds of the Spanish alphabet can really help you with your confidence. The next letter is the letter C. And depending on whether you're learning Spanish from mainland Spain or from Central and South America, you're either going to pronounce it as a C or a se. For me, it's a se. And the word is coche. And you might be thinking, if the letter is a se, why do we pronounce the word coche with a k? And there's a rule around this. So the C before an A, U and an O is like a hard C. So, for example, coche, cucaracha, carnaval is like a hard C. See? And then before an I and an E, it's a softer C, like a S. So, for example, cielo, cielo. So like cielo and cero, so it's a softer C. Bien. The next letter is the letter H. So, if you're familiar with the word hola, which I'm sure you are in Espanol, it means hello. At the beginning of that word, there's an H, but we never pronounce the H when it's at the beginning of a word in Espanol. It's always silent. So the letter H is an H, but we never pronounce it. So, for example, hola or hielo. Bien. Never pronounce the H at the beginning of a word. And then we have the double R. This is the one that causes most people the most trouble, no? The double R. So it's the thrilled one R. So it's the R. R. And I've done a video, a whole lesson on how to practice and improve rolling your R. I'll see if I can share the link to that video somewhere around here. So for now, it's arroz, arroz. And it's the r. You put your mouth at the top of your tongue at the top of your mouth, just behind your teeth, and kind of blow, yeah? So r, r. If you can't do it, don't worry, stick with it. It took me years to be able to roll my R. Okay, it's just practice, practice, practice. And don't be shy, have a go. And, just, make it fun. Yeah, don't take yourself too seriously. The W was a W. It's not rocket science, right? W. And much the same as the K in Espanol, the W doesn't have any original Spanish words either. So the word windsurf would be pronounced windsurf. Yeah, windsurf. Check the dictionary if you don't believe me. All right, next, sentence structure. So a basic Spanish sentence follows this pattern. You have a subject, a verb and an object. Let's break it down. So in English, you say, I eat apples. In Spanish, yo como manzanas. Easy, right? The verb comer, which means to eat, changes depending on who is doing the eating. And learning how to match your verbs with the subject is key to sounding natural in Espanol. Let's dive into it a bit deeper. Okay, perfecto. So the first thing you need to know when you are forming a sentence in Espanol is that every sentence needs a subject and a verb. A subject, it can be a person, a place, a thing, an animal. And the verb is the doing word, the action word. So for example, to eat, to sing, to walk, they're all action words and they're all verbs in Espanol. Okay? So our first example, I'm going to take, through all of this lesson actually, I'm going to use Juan, Juan as our example. Okay, so Juan is our subject. And in this example, I'm going to use the verb escribir. Escribir, that means to write. There are three types of verbs in Spanish. Verbs that end in AR, verbs that end in ER, and verbs that end in IR. You don't need to know too much about that at the moment, just to know that when we're forming our sentence, the ending of the verb is going to change to agree with our subject. So if I want to say that Juan writes, I take my subject, Juan, and my verb, escribir, and I put them together. I change the ending of my verb, which you'll learn later on, and it becomes Juan escribe. And that's literally all we need to form a sentence in Espanol. Our subject, Juan, and the action, what he's doing, escribe. Juan escribe. Okay, so this next one can trip beginners up a bit. It's the masculine and the feminine articles. And in Spanish, nouns have gender and they take either el, masculine, or la, feminine. For example, el perro, the dog, is masculine, while la mesa is feminine. It might feel random, but don't stress. With time, you'll start to recognise the patterns. And a quick tip, so nouns generally ending in o are usually masculine, and those ending in a are usually feminine. And here's a great activity you can do to learn and practice how to use these Spanish articles. So let's have a look first of all at the. So this is a definite article, a specific thing, yeah? So for example, in English, we might, if we were talking about or the specific pencil, would be the pencil or the specific ruler. And in Spanish, we'd say el lápiz or la regla. When we're talking about a or an, and this is an indefinite thing, this is an unspecified thing. For example, in English, we'd say a pencil, like an unspecific pencil, or a ruler. In Spanish, we say un lápiz or una regla. Okay, moving on. Spanish has two ways to say you. We have the informal tú, used for situations, and usted for formal ones. So you'd use tú, for example, with friends. Tú hablas español, you speak Spanish. But with a stranger, you'd say usted habla español. And different countries use these differently. So in Spain, tú is common, but in Latin America, some countries, well, we just prefer to use usted. And in Argentina, we use vos. Yes, I said vos. So pay attention when you travel. This next clip will help you understand in a little bit more detail. Okay, so you've said hola, buenos días. And if it's somebody that you are meeting for the first time or somebody that you need to address with respect and you want to ask them how are you, you ask ¿Cómo está usted? ¿Cómo está usted? Different to if it's somebody that you already know or a child or generally somebody younger than you, somebody that you're going to address informally. There are different ways to say it. The first one is the most common one, which you will probably have heard at some point, and that's ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? Another one very popular is a little bit more informal still, and it's ¿Qué tal? ¿Qué tal? Yeah, how are you? How's it going? And along those lines as well, when you're informal with somebody, you can also ask ¿Cómo va? ¿Cómo va? And that means how's it going? And there's a great song by Celia Cruz.
Oye, ¿cómo va? Mi ritmo bueno pa' gozar.
Perfecto. So there we go. Now you can say hola, buenos días, ¿cómo está usted? Or hola, buenas tardes, ¿cómo estás? Okay, if you're only going to learn one thing today, let it be this. Knowing how to ask questions. Now this will supercharge your Spanish. It helps you navigate new places, make connections, and avoid awkward situations. The good news? Asking questions in Spanish is actually quite simple. You just raise the intonation or switch the verb and the subject. So instead of tú hablas español, you speak Spanish, you say hablas español, which literally means do you speak Spanish? Boom. Instant question. And don't forget essential ones like ¿Cuánto cuesta? How much does it cost? And ¿Dónde está el baño? Where's the bathroom? Or where's the toilet? Trust me, that one will save your life. And here's a few other ways that you can form questions in Español. The first way that you can form a question in Español is by quite simply switching the verb and the subject. So in this example, I've got, I'm using Juan as my subject, and that Juan can cook. The verb to cook is cocinar. So if I want to say that Juan cooks, I simply say Juan cocina. Juan cocina is an affirmative sentence saying that Juan cooks. See? Now if I want to make that sentence into a question, I simply switch the order of my subject and my verb. So it becomes cocina Juan. See? Very simple, right? But if I just simply say cocina Juan, it doesn't sound much like a question. So the second way to form a question in Español is by using that rising intonation. So my affirmative sentence of Juan cocina changed to cocina Juan. If I rise my intonation at the end, it becomes a question. Cocina Juan? Cocina Juan? Can you see that that is now a question, and it literally means, does Juan cook? Bien. Notice that there is no does in Español. The does doesn't exist. So you don't need to look through the dictionary to try and find the word does. It simply doesn't exist in Español. This is a really, really important grammatical lesson. The does not exist. So to form a question, the first way of doing it is by switching the verb and the subject and adding that little bit of rising intonation at the end. So, cocina Juan. So the third and final way to ask a question in Español is a bit of a cheaty one, really. You leave your sentence as it is. So we had Juan canta. No, we didn't. We had Juan, what did we have? Juan cocina. That was it. Juan cocina. And Miguel canta. See? And rather than having to remember to switch the subject and the verb, you can simply leave that sentence as it is. So let's take Miguel and his singing. Yep. So Miguel canta becomes Miguel canta, no? Miguel canta, no? Or Miguel canta, ¿verdad? Or Miguel canta, ¿es cierto? So you can leave your sentence as it is and just add those question tags at the end. Okay, last but not least, demonstrative pronouns. Right, okay, well they sound scary, but these help you point things out. So if someone is close to you, you would use este, which means this. A little further away, and you'd say ese. And if it's a little bit further away, like over there, you would say aquel. Now, I have completely oversimplified that. There is a lot more to it, especially when it comes to asking questions, using demonstrative pronouns. Things like, what is this? What is that? What is that over there? Which, by the way, is a fabulous way to control your learning environment. If you go into una fruteria, una verdureria, and you want to practice your español in a controlled way, using sentences and questions that you already know, you can practice your demonstrative pronouns, your articles, and of course your fruit and veg vocabulario. These little words do make a massive difference. Watch this next clip that will hopefully help you understand a bit better. Okay, so you can see here that this is the same table that you've got in your booklet. And what we've basically done here is we've moved from this and that, these and those, over to that over there and those over there. So let's look at this with the masculine singular, the masculine singular column there. So we've got este/esto and ese/eso. And this can sometimes be where the confusion is. So if I want to ask what something is, I don't know what the thing is. I walk into a verdureria, a fruit and veg shop, and I see an odd looking piece of fruit that I've never seen before, and I want to know what it is. I don't know what it is. I'm going to ask, ¿qué es esto? ¿Qué es esto? My question is always, ¿qué es esto? What is this? And the person that works in the shop there is going to tell me what it is. And when they tell me what it is, they're going to use either este or esta to respond, because they will know whether the thing is actually masculine or feminine. So if I want to know what that thing, something else is, a bit further away, and I want to ask what is that, my default again is going to be eso. So ¿qué es eso? What is that? And again, the attendant will be able to tell me what it is. With the noun in the sentence, they will use ese. Ese es, whatever it is. Okay, so now how do you even practice all this? So when you're in a Spanish-speaking country, like I said, you can learn to control your learning environment. Start with easy, familiar situations, ordering a coffee, un café por favor. Once that feels comfortable, try ordering in a restaurant. Then, like I said, head to the market, ask what things are and ¿cuánto cuesta esto? How much is it? And little by little, you'll start to build your confidence. All right then, so those are 6 key things that will help you get started speaking Español. If you found this helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and grab your free Spanish starter kit. The link is in the description. It's packed with essential vocab, pronunciation tips, and loads more. Thanks for watching, and nos vemos en la próxima. Adiós!